My name is Big Phil Campion. I'm ex-D Squadron 22 SAS, which is UK Special Forces. I left the military a number of years ago and I went onto what was called the private military circuit, which meant I was doing it for money basically, as a mercenary or a contractor or whatever you want to call me. A few years ago I wrote a book called Born Fearless and it did very well, and so I decided as I was getting a little bit older that I'd try and sort of like switch a little bit and get into the media side of life. I don't see a massive difference in between a war correspondent and a special forces operator in terms of what they do. They go out there and they report, they bring back what they find, which is what a special forces soldier does. He goes out, he finds that information and he brings it back, and it needs to be accurate because people's lives depend on him. So with that respect, you know, I've now picked up a few jobs for television. I've just made my first documentary, Big Phil's War, which was on the front line against IS in Kurdistan and northern Iraq. Obviously now I've stepped over the line and I'm a journalist, or you know, I'm into that media sector. I now have agents that look after me, and Ubisoft contacted me through an agent and said would I be interested in a project around Rainbow Six, explained to me what it was, and I said yes, I'd be very interested, and it looked like something I'd like to get involved with, and so here I am now talking to you. I was excited about it. You know, it's a good project, and for me personally, if someone's going to represent what I used to do, I want to see them do it properly. Because for me, there's a lot of stuff out there written about my ex-regiment that isn't so true, for want of a better word. So, you know, the best representation and the better they could make it, you know, the more experience and the better experience the viewer or the gamer is going to get out of it, you know. Yeah, of course, yeah. You know, I don't want people, you know, playing a game and thinking, well, that's a load of rubbish. I'll be thinking my regiment's a load of rubbish because I'll be in your front room having a go with you. I'm very excited by it. You know, I look at the game, you know, I've had a little go myself and I'm hoping they'll let me have another go later. I think it's great. I think for me, I've played a few of the warring games now, and for me, looking at this one, it's as close as you're going to get on your sofa to actually doing the job properly. I like the scenarios that they've got. You know, the aeroplane especially is a very good scene for me. I like the kit and equipment that they're using. I like the characters. I like the way that you can do things. You know, I like the way, you know, the game is, you can play it as a team. You can play, you know, you only get one life and that sort of thing. I think, you know, it's geared up to be a very realistic game, and I like the way it comes across. The graphics are absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm a bit older school than a lot of people who are going to play this, but to me, I'm like, wow, the graphics are just mental, like, you know what I mean? It's great. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, they do actually. To be fair, I mean, I've been on a plane that's been hijacked for real. Years ago, the training, like I say, forces train, and you know, as I alluded to earlier, the killing house that I showed you the photograph of earlier is representative of the killing house that's in that game, and that's how you train. You know, you have to do your training. So the training for me is very important because it's not just, you know, a lot of stuff is won or lost in the training. You know, you don't just go out there and fight. You know, you train to fight, and then you go out there. You know, train hard, fight easy, and that sort of thing. And that's a big part for me. So the fact that they've included that in the game, and you can go and do your training, you can go and get your skills up to speed, and then you can go and deploy them around the game, you know, it's awesome, isn't it? It's great. I've answered a few questions that they had. I've helped with the advertising, and obviously I'm helping now with the promotion. So I haven't had a heavy involvement. I'm not a computer analyst, you know what I mean? I'm a soldier. I just, you know, I've answered a few questions here and there, and I've helped them along the way, you know. So, you know, I haven't had a massive, huge impact, but, you know, I've kept an eye on what's going on, and I'm impressed, you know. They asked me about kit and equipment. I'm bound by law not to talk too much about tactics, so I don't. So, you know, I don't make comment on it. I'm not allowed to do it. But, like I say, I can see what they're doing, I can see where they're coming from, and, you know, I've answered things as well as I can to help them get the most realistic game that they could possibly do. I think soldiering is sort of like 90% of soldiering is waiting around, training, waiting for something to go noisy. And 1% of your career is actual in there sorting it out. So you actually get a better cut on that because you get a lot more action than I got. But it's, you know, it's a good thing. You know, you get to do all the stuff. But soldiering essentially is a lot of waiting around, a lot of training. And then, you know, the tip of the iceberg is the business end and deploying your skills on the ground. There was, yeah. Whilst I was working on the private military circuit, I used to look after the ships that travelled through the Gulf of Aden, and the pirates were coming after us all the time and that sort of stuff. And it was in the early days, and we didn't have weapons. We weren't allowed weapons on the ship. So we got tagged by some pirates. They came down in their skiffs. One of the boats had run out. Our tactic used to be, we used to try and make them shoot at us so that they'd run out of ammunition because they couldn't carry that much, so then they turned them. Anyway, this one particular skiff just kept coming and coming and coming, and we couldn't outrun it. And we'd thrown literally all the flares, everything we had gone down the range at this one particular skiff. And he managed to hook onto the side of the boat, and at the side of the ship, sorry. And I took a fridge from the captain's thing. It was only one of those small, one with cokes in it. And I literally just ripped it out, run down to the thing, and threw it as hard as I could. And I was lucky enough to get it onto the end of the skiff. And they must have thought, nah, we've had enough now. We're out of here. This man's mad. However, I did get the drinks out of it first. I managed to tip the drinks out before I threw it. Saw what they had, how they're represented in the game. And I think that they're close to what people are using. People have asked me before, what weapon would you use? You do in special forces get a choice of weapon to suit the task, but then that's the same in this game. You get the arsenal, you get your bits and pieces, and you can decide what's best for you at the time. So it's good. And obviously, some people prefer one thing and some will prefer another, and that's the same as real life, isn't it? So, yeah, it's good. You've got to go with the flow, ain't you? You know what I mean? You've got to stay in the swim. Got to make some money. Got to keep your head above the parapet, That's it. You do what you do, don't you? Basically, you once you leave the military, in some respects, look at the size of me now. You become less capable as you were a few years ago. So you've got to find something to do, haven't you? And this is what I'm enjoying doing at the moment. So it's fun. Who knows? Who knows? Could be anything. Who knocks my door next? You know what I mean? I'll go to the highest bidder. I always have.
What would be something interesting?
I'd like to do some more television work. I'd like to do some more stuff like this. Helping if they develop this game further, or if they want to do some more promotional type stuff. I'm very much into representing news and that sort of stuff. I like to see stuff told properly. Like I say, this is telling stuff properly, isn't it? This is I've tried to get this game. For me, I've tried to see if it will represent and do people proud, and I think it has. I'm very, very into that sort of stuff. So, the media type stuff for me, I'll bang another book out next year. They fall out of me. Do you know what I mean? I've got so many stories, so I can get another book out. That's not a drama. So, like I say, in the meantime, I'm really enjoying my television work, and I'm really enjoying this promotional type stuff for Ubisoft. It's great.